where 2 children aged between ages 2 and 5 have been killed in a blaze in the Fleurhof settlement in Johannesburg. The fire destroyed about 44 shacks in that area. The cause of the fire is still unknown, and to unpack this further, we're joined by Johannesburg Emergency Services spokesperson Robert Mulaudzi. Mulaudzi, thank you very much for joining us this afternoon. For our viewers, if you could start by providing some context under which the shack fire happened and what exactly happened to these children in that shack fire.
Yeah, these early hours of this morning, we responded to multiple shacks on fire in Fleurhof Extension 5, whereby about 44 shacks were gutted. In the process, there were about 2 young children whose ages ranges between 2 and 5, who unfortunately lost their lives during this fire incident, and also a female patient who is believed to be the mother of the 2 sustained injuries. She received medical attention on scene, and she was later on transported to the nearby healthcare facility for further medical care by our paramedics from the Gauteng Provincial Emergency Medical Services.
Mulaudzi, what do we understand to be the cause of the fire? I know investigations are still underway, but based on what you would have observed throughout this winter period, is it likely that it was caused by neglected candles or electrical appliances that would help heat up shacks during the winter period? Just based on the trends you would have seen in this winter period, what is likely to have happened?
Yeah, on this case, we are told that it might be a unattended candle. However, we have seen that in most of the incidents we have responded to throughout the city of Johannesburg this winter season, especially in our informal settlements, it has been, candles, paraffin stoves, which are left unattended, while in use, which normally causes devastating fire incidents. Hence, from our side as the fire service, during this time of the season, we normally intensify our public education programs through our peer unit, which is our public education unit, which is responsible for educating our residents there about life and fire safety educational programs.
And let's talk about that educational programs that you speak of, Mulaudzi, and how important they are. Have you seen that they have made some form of impact, particularly when Johannesburg Emergency Services would be dealing with a crisis the magnitude of what we saw happen in Marshalltown? You would want to hope that that education service that you provide would have filtered enough that you know that people living in these informal settlements are relatively safe. Have you seen any benefit to those educational programs?
Yes, we have seen a lot of improvement in terms of the number of incidents which we used to receive, be it in our inner city and also in our mostly vulnerable communities, which is our informal settlements, because right now we have also seen the need for us to have be safe centers, which community centers which our communities can be able to visit, which are nearby. Hence, there was the idea of the initiative which was taken by the city of Johannesburg EMS to introduce these be safe centers, which are mostly spread in all 7 regions of the city, where our residents are able to come in, get trained in terms of first aid, basic firefighting, and any other life and fire safety educational programs. Residents are also visited by these men and women from our public education unit, whereby the trainings are not only designated, maybe done in a community hall or in a church. Residents who are in an informal settlements are able to call us. We're able to come and conduct training, maybe even if it's under a tree. These men and women are able to conduct this kind of training, which are specifically designed for communities in our informal settlements, for young children in our daycare centers, and also, young people mostly in the high schools. So the training which we provide is actually specifically designed for all residents who are within the city of Johannesburg, young and old.
Okay, and then just as a final thought from you, 44 shacks have been impacted by this latest blaze that you just described to us. What happens to the people that have been affected while there is a cleanup operation happening in Fleurhof? Are they put up in community centres? Just a sense to our viewers, Mulaudzi, as to what happens to those that have now been displaced.
Yes, we've got our local councillor in Fleurhof who's on site, and also our disaster management officials who are on site, who are facilitating relief for the affected families in terms of organizing an emergency shelter, and also making sure that they do have some kind of relief to keep them going, while that rebuilding process is underway. So from our side, as a fire service, we just want to encourage our residents out there to continue to look after all heating devices which might cause fire incidents at home, and also, most importantly, to visit our Be Safe centers, which are spread in all 7 regions of the city. They can be able to call us on our central reservation number for public education purposes. It is 011-758-5050. We are able to come to where they are and then be able to conduct this kind of training, so that we can be able to prevent fire incidents like the ones we are witnessing mostly in our informal settlements.
Thank you very much for your time. We do know that the last few days have been extremely busy and devastating for the emergency services in Johannesburg. So we appreciate the time for the update. That is Robert Mulaudzi joining us to give an update of the shack fire in Fleurhof that killed 2 children, both under the age of 6. And of course, an update there in that 44 shacks were affected by that particular fire.